She is the amazing Congresswoman, hopefully the next governor in the state of New York. Proud to call her a friend. I love her. Elise Stefanik back on Sid and Friends in the morning. Elise, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sid. Great to be on your show.
Great to have you back. Now, before we get to Hochul and the governor race and all that, you know, you do such an amazing job. You really are a hero to so many Americans. I know Trump feels that way, so do I, and so many voters watched you take apart all the presidents of all those universities when you exposed them to be anti-Semites, whether it's, you know, UMass or Harvard or Pennsylvania or Northwestern, MIT, excuse me, you did it all. But you also, Elise, did a pretty good job of undressing Andrew Cuomo there on the Capitol Hill as well. And I think your last words were, you will never, ever serve again as long as I'm alive, or something to that extent. And here he is tonight on stage for the mayoral debate. Now, I know you don't like Mamdani, and I saw you undress Andrew Cuomo. So what are you thinking going into tonight's mayoral debate?
Well, this is the first opportunity for New Yorkers to see Andrew Cuomo, Zoran Mamdani, the communist, and Curtis Sliwa. I'm proud to endorse Curtis Sliwa. I endorsed him earlier this year. He has a tremendous lifetime of service. New Yorkers know him. He supports our law enforcement. He will bring safety and security back to our streets. And Mamdani and Cuomo, there's a lot of discussion about, you know, how do we defeat Mamdani? The reality is there are three candidates on the ballot. And I really think the mayor's race on the Democrat side is emblematic of today's Democrat Party. You have a raging anti-Semite communist in Mamdani. Previously, you had Eric Adams before he dropped out, which faced corruption charges. And then you have Andrew Cuomo, who is a disgraced former governor who was forced out of office for very valid reasons. The nursing home scandal, the mismanagement of COVID, the sexual harassment scandal. That is today's Democrat Party. It is a disgrace, and we desperately need new leadership to fix the decades of decay of single-party Democrat rule in New York City and across New York State. And there's one person you forgot, Sid, that I dressed down in Congress, and that was when Kathy Hochul testified.
Oh, yeah?
And she did not know that illegals, because of her sanctuary state policies, burned a woman alive on a subway. Yep. She did not know that illegals in New York State who raped minors in the Capital District and on Long Island were released in New York because of her sanctuary state policies. That was a disgrace to have a seated governor fail in Congress in that testimony in such a way.
Yeah, no, you killed her. And I didn't forget that. I was going to get to Hochul afterwards, but that was also amazing. One more in the mayor's race, then we'll get to Hochul. I hear all your points, and, you see my tweets. I'm vicious with the Democrats. I'm vicious. I get yelled at by my wife all the time. Could you calm down? I hate him. But if it comes down to, if our guy Curtis can't win. Right now, he's polling way back. If he can't win, and it comes down to Mamdani versus Cuomo, do you have a preference, or you don't care at that point?
First of all, I'm endorsing Curtis Sliwa. I've been clear about that. We need to do everything we can to defeat Mamdani. And I've seen polling that shows different things. I've seen polling where Cuomo is surging after Adams dropped out. I've seen polling that Sliwa is doing better and better and is getting cross-party appeal. The reality is Zoran Mamdani is not going to get the majority of votes in New York City. We are about to have a mayor, if he's elected, that will destroy the greatest city in the world. And you know who empowered him? Kathy Hochul. It was Kathy Hochul's endorsement that has empowered the person that just yesterday went on TV and failed to call for Hamas, a terrorist organization, to lay down their weapons. We have a full-blown jihadist who has called for the genocide of Jews, does not believe that Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state, wants to legalize prostitution, wants to abolish private property, and the list goes on. This is a full-blown communist anti-Semite, and New Yorkers are waking up to it. And that's one of the reasons why Kathy Hochul's pollings continue to fall further down into the toilet, frankly, because she has turned her back on New Yorkers because of her desperate internal political issues, because she's polling so poorly among Democrat voters.
She's scared to death of you, I could tell you that. She ripped you on Twitter, and you came back. and you called her a hypocrite. You called her the worst governor in America. I agree with both, by the way. You talked about how she refused to lower the flags after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Kirk, I should say. You talked about her relationship with the jihadist mayor. I mean, this was some week for this guy. He's walking around town with Letitia James and Kathy Hochul. But yes, Hochul endorsed him. Hochul spent the whole day with him a couple of days ago. And she's such a phony. She says, I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but I love his energy. What the hell does that mean, Elise?
Well, you know what? The reporters in New York, and I know you would ask great questions, Sid, but let me tell you,
Thanks.
They have yet to ask her, what is a specific position that you disagree with him? Is there a specific position that you condemn? She's failed to condemn any of these radical positions. She has not condemned his statement saying the NYPD is racist. She has not said she differs in terms of his proposals or, his failure to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. She has failed to identify a single position where she differs. And that's because she's a weak governor. And when I say she's the worst governor in America, everybody agrees. Even the Democrats agree. Even state senators in Albany who are Democrats know that this is a joke. There was a quote that came out earlier this week, and it has to do with one of the corruption scandals in the Medicaid home health care program that was a bidded rigging process. This is a multi-billion-dollar corruption scandal under Kathy Hochul. Even the state Senate Democrats are doing an investigation. They said behind closed doors, Kathy Hochul is viewed as a joke. And let me be clear, Kathy Hochul has been desperately attacking me because of heinous, vile tweets of a group that I wasn't even a part of. The difference between Kathy Hochul and I condemn anti-Semitism, and those individuals were removed from those positions. This is a young professionals political group. They were removed. I'm not even a part of that group.
No.
But the difference is Kathy Hochul, she failed to condemn university presidents, especially at Columbia when you saw the raging anti-Semitism. Kathy Hochul was silent. She's failed to condemn Jay Jones, the attorney general candidate in Virginia, who said he wants to shoot a Republican and watch their children die in their arms. She failed to condemn Zohran Mamdani. So it is Hochul the hypocrite once again. And I'm not going to let her desperately smear to New Yorkers when I've been the leader in combating anti-Semitism. And every New Yorker, whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent, knows that. I have a sterling record as the leader on this issue. She is a coward person who has been silent and has empowered a full-blown jihadist, Zohran Mamdani. Hochul attacked me yesterday or 2 days ago saying, Elise says Zohran is pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas jihadist. It's because he is.
Yeah.
It's because every statement, that is an accurate fact.
Of course. I actually, I know why President Trump refers to him as a communist, because Trump is smart, and he knows that people vote with their pocketbooks, and he wants to make people aware that communist, socialist, he's going to make sure you're broke. I don't. I call him a terrorist, flat out. Terrorist. And I've gotten nasty stuff from his people as well, not nearly as much as you, of course, from Hochul. But the truth is, she is the worst governor. And that's saying a lot. You've got J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, awful. You've got Gavin Newsom in California, awful. Here's the other thing with her. She was yesterday giving Zohran Mamdani credit because he's all about affordability. And I don't want to ever defend Zohran Mamdani because I hate him. But the truth is, he's not that far removed from bashing Kathy Hochul because, according to him, because of her, this city and this state is anything but affordable. So she's taking a victory lap, Elise. How is that possible?
In fact, last year, Zohran Mamdani was quoted saying, he said this on the floor of the State Assembly, Kathy Hochul has failed New Yorkers when it comes to affordability.
That's right.
Those were his words. And that is correct. Kathy Hochul has failed New Yorkers when it comes to affordability. You want to know why, Sid? Because it's single-party Democrat rule. Kathy Hochul has given us the highest tax state in the nation, the highest energy bills, the highest insurance prices, the highest utility prices because of Kathy Hochul's failed policies. And this garbage rebate program, which is a joke of our taxpayer dollars that are then taxed again, New Yorkers are smart. They know that we need a new governor to cut taxes, to reduce regulations, to bring fiscal responsibility, to ensure we have lower utility, lower energy costs, to really make New York affordable again. It's certainly not Mamdani who's going to double down to this radical tax and spend and abolish private property. And it's not Kathy Hochul, who has made New York the most unaffordable state in the nation to live. It's why we lead the nation in mass exodus of population from all across the state. And the thing is, Sid, she's an accidental governor. She only is in there because Cuomo was forced to resign. There is no reality where Kathy Hochul would have ever been able to win a Democrat primary to work her way up to governor. It was just because that she was the lieutenant governor, which we all know Andrew Cuomo. He chose a weak lieutenant governor. That's his leadership style. He is, a very powerful executive when he served as governor. And she was sent to ribbon cuttings around the state. I would see her at ribbon cuttings in upstate New York. No substance. This is someone who earlier in her career took the Conservative Party line, accepted the NRA endorsement, and has done everything she can to promote herself and put New Yorkers last. So there's a story to be told to reintroduce Kathy Hochul to New Yorkers for how she has put herself forward. And the people who have suffered because of that? New Yorkers.
You mentioned upstate New York. We'll wrap it up with this because everybody in the city don't pay attention. My mother spends half the year, Elise, up by Monticello, okay, which is still close to the city, about 2 hours away. But between Cuomo and Hochul, they promised, I know you do a great job up there as a congresswoman, but you're not the governor. They promised to fix it. But how could you fix it? You practically made sure that we weren't going to, all of our own energy, we don't use it, right? Shut down Indian Point, a bunch of other plants. They promised. You go to some of those cities north of, the Monticello, they're broke. They're destitute. There's crime. There's drugs. It is really rough, that whole part of the state. And it all goes back to the governors who promised they were going to spend time fixing, whether it's Rochester or Syracuse or Buffalo, any one of those big cities in New York, which you have to admit are a mess. They did nothing with those cities. Nothing.
They've hollowed out upstate New York. It has been hollowed out. We've lost hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs just over the past decade. If you look at Buffalo, it is the second highest in the nation. We're not talking regional. We're talking in the nation when it comes to child poverty, and that's Kathy Hochul's home county. You have Rochester with a huge surge in crime, with an abysmal graduation rate for high school students. They have absolutely, Kathy Hochul and Democrat rule has crushed upstate New York. And I know everyone is focused, rightfully so, on the New York City's mayor's race, but this has been the destruction of the greatest state in the nation because of failed economic policies. And it doesn't have to be this way. We know what works. It's lowering taxes. It's ensuring that we have all of the above energy instead of this radical Green New Deal scam, which, by the way, is leading us to a gas stove ban starting January 1st, which Kathy Hochul signed into law. That's not resilient. What are people going to do when the power goes out? We're in big trouble in New York State, and it's unaffordable. So I'm looking forward to having this debate on these issues, and we are going to put together a campaign, if and when I decide to run, that the Democrats have never seen before in New York State. It will be the most well-organized, and this is not just about winning Republicans, Sid. In my district, we win independents overwhelmingly and win a fair percentage of Democrats, and the number of Democrats who have come forward already and said, we are all in, this needs to stop. This is the only way to save New York.
I believe it. I really believe, not because I love you or friends, I really believe in my heart of hearts you're going to win. I believe New Yorkers are tired. And I go upstate, again, part of that region, and I talk to people, too. They're thirsty. They're thirsty for leadership, somebody that can get it done. And you've proven in Congress, Elise, there's nobody tougher. Trump will say it, too. Nobody tougher. So I can't wait for the day when you officially announce it and kick this thing off, because you will be, mark it down, folks, Elise Stefanik will be the next governor here in New York. Great job. I love you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sid.